Any planned articles, books, speeches, resumes, or public statements that may contain classified, classifiable, NSA-derived, or unclassified protected information, for example, information relating to the organization, mission, functions, or activities of NSA. Your obligation to protect this sensitive information is a lifetime one. Even when you resign, retire, or otherwise under affiliation with NSA, you must submit this type of material for pre-publication review. For additional details, contact the Information Policy Division, Q43, for an explanation of pre-publication review procedures. Personnel security responsibilities. Perhaps you recall your initial impression upon entering an NSA facility. Like most people, you probably noticed the elaborate physical security safeguards, fences, concrete barriers, security protective officers, identification badges, etc. While these measures provide a substantial degree of protection for the information housed within our buildings, they represent only a portion of the overall agency security program. In fact, vast amounts of information leave our facilities daily in the minds of NSA personnel, and this is where our greatest vulnerability lies. Experience has indicated that because of the vital information we work with at NSA, agency personnel may become potential targets for hostile intelligence efforts. Special safeguards are therefore necessary to protect our personnel. Accordingly, the agency has an extensive personnel security program which establishes internal policies and guidelines governing employee conduct and activities. These policies cover a variety of topics, all of which are designed to protect both you and the sensitive information you will gain through your work at NSA. Association with foreign nationals. As a member of the U.S. intelligence community and by virtue of your access to sensitive information, you are a potential target for hostile intelligence activities carried out by or on behalf of citizens of foreign countries. A policy concerning association with foreign nationals has been established by the agency to minimize the likelihood that its personnel might become subject to undue influence or duress or targets of hostile activities through foreign relationships. As an NSA affiliate, you are prohibited from initiating or maintaining associations, regardless of the nature and degree, with citizens or officials of communist-controlled, or other countries which pose a significant threat to the security of the United States and its interests. A comprehensive list of these designated countries is available from your staff security officer or the Security Awareness Division. Any contact with citizens of these countries, no matter how brief or seemingly innocuous, must be reported as soon as possible to your staff security officer, SSO. Individuals designated as staff security officers are assigned to every organization. A listing of staff security officers can be found at the back of this handbook. Additionally, close and continuing associations with any non-U.S. citizens which are characterized by ties of kinship, obligation, or affection are prohibited. A waiver to this policy may be granted only under the most exceptional circumstances when there is a truly compelling need for an individual's services or skills and the security risk is negligible. In particular, a waiver must be granted in advance of a marriage to or cohabitation with a foreign national in order to retain one's access to NSA information. Accordingly, any intent to cohabitate with or marry a non-U.S. citizen must be reported immediately to your staff security officer. If a waiver is granted, future reassignments both at headquarters and overseas may be affected. The marriage or intended marriage of an immediate family member, parents, siblings, children, to a foreign national must also be reported through your SSO to the Clearance Division, M55. Casual social associations with foreign nationals, other than those of the designated countries mentioned above, which arise from normal living and working arrangements in the community usually do not have to be reported. During the course of those casual social associations, you are encouraged to extend the usual social amenities. Do not act mysteriously or draw attention to yourself, and possibly to NSA, by displaying an unusually wary attitude. Naturally, your affiliation with the agency and the nature of your work should not be discussed. Again, you should be careful not to allow these associations to become close and continuing to the extent that they are characterized by ties of kinship, obligation, or affection. If at any time you feel that a casual association is in any way suspicious, you should report this to your staff security officer immediately. Whenever any doubt exists as to whether or not the situation should be reported or made a matter of record, you should decide it in favor of reporting it. In this way, the situation can be evaluated on its own merits, and you can be advised as to your future course of action. Correspondence with foreign nationals. NSA personnel are discouraged from initiating correspondence with individuals who are citizens of foreign countries. Correspondence with citizens of communist-controlled or other designated countries is prohibited. Casual social correspondence, including the pen-pal variety, with other foreign acquaintances is acceptable and need not be reported. If, however, this correspondence should escalate in its frequency or nature, you should report that through your staff security officer to the Clearance Division, M55. Embassy visits. Since a significant percentage of all espionage activity is known to be conducted through foreign embassies, consulates, etc., agency policy discourages visits to embassies, consulates or other official establishments of a foreign government. Each case, however, must be judged on the circumstances involved. Therefore, if you plan to visit a foreign embassy for any reason, even to obtain a visa, you must consult with, and obtain the prior approval of, your immediate supervisor and the Security Awareness Division, M56. Amateur radio activities. Amateur radio, ham radio, activities are known to be exploited by hostile intelligence services to identify individuals with access to classified information. Therefore, all licensed operators are expected to be familiar with NSA/CSS Regulation 101, Operation of Amateur Radio Stations, 23 October 1986. The specific limitations on contacts with operators from communist or designated countries are of particular importance. If you are an amateur radio operator, you should advise the Security Awareness Division, M56, of your amateur radio activities so that detailed guidance may be furnished to you. Unofficial foreign travel. In order to further protect sensitive information from possible compromise resulting from terrorism, coercion, interrogation or capture of agency personnel by hostile nations and/or terrorist groups, the agency has established certain policies and procedures concerning unofficial foreign travel. All agency personnel, civilian employees, military assignees, and contractors who are planning unofficial foreign travel must have that travel approved by submitting a proposed itinerary to the Security Awareness Division, M56, at least 30 working days prior to their planned departure from the United States. Your itinerary should be submitted on Form K-2579, Unofficial Foreign Travel Request. This form provides space for noting the countries to be visited, mode of travel, and dates of departure and return. Your immediate supervisor must sign this form to indicate whether or not your proposed travel poses a risk to the sensitive information, activities, or projects of which you may have knowledge due to your current assignment. After your supervisor's assessment is made, this form should be forwarded to the Security Awareness Director, M56. Your itinerary will then be reviewed in light of the existing situation in the country or countries to be visited, and a decision for approval or disapproval will be based on this assessment. The purpose of this policy is to limit the risk of travel to areas of the world where a threat may exist to you and to your knowledge of classified agency activities. In this context, travel to communist-controlled and other hazardous activity areas is prohibited. A listing of these hazardous activity areas is prohibited. A listing of these hazardous activity areas can be found in Annex A of NSA/CSS Regulation No. 3031, Security Requirements for Foreign Travel, June 12, 1987. From time to time, travel may also be prohibited to certain areas where the threat from hostile intelligence services, terrorism, criminal activity or insurgency poses an unacceptable risk to agency employees and to the sensitive information they possess. Advanced travel deposits made without prior agency approval of the proposed travel may result in financial losses by the employee should the travel be disapproved, so it is important to obtain approval prior to committing yourself financially. Questions regarding which areas of the world currently pose a threat should be directed to the Security Awareness Division, M56. Unofficial foreign travel to Canada, the Bahamas, Bermuda, and Mexico does not require prior approval. However, this travel must still be reported using Form K-2579. Travel to these areas may be reported after the fact. While you do not have to report your foreign travel once you have ended your affiliation with the agency, you should be aware that the risk incurred in traveling to certain areas, from a personal safety and/or counterintelligence standpoint, remains high. The requirement to protect the classified information to which you have had access is a lifetime obligation. Membership in organizations. Within the United States there are numerous organizations with memberships ranging from a few to tens of thousands. While you may certainly participate in the activities of any reputable organization, membership in any international club or professional organization, activity with foreign members should be reported through your staff security officer to the Clearance Division, M55. In most cases there are no security concerns or threats to our employees or affiliates. However, the Office of Security needs the opportunity to research the organization and to assess any possible risk to you and the information to which you have access. In addition to exercising prudence in your choice of organizational affiliations, you should endeavor to avoid participation in public activities of a conspicuously controversial nature because such activities could focus undesirable attention upon you and the agency. NSA employees may, however, participate in bona fide public affairs such as local politics, so long as such activities do not violate the provisions of the statutes and regulations which govern the political activities of all federal employees. Additional information may be obtained from your personnel representative. Changes in marital status/cohabitation/names. All personnel, either employed by or assigned to NSA, must advise the Office of Security of any changes in their marital status, either marriage or divorce, cohabitation arrangements, or illegal name changes. Such changes should be reported by completing NSA Form G-1982. Report of marriage, marital status change, name change, and following the instructions printed on the form. Use and abuse of drugs. It is the policy of the National Security Agency to prevent and eliminate the improper use of drugs by agency employees and other personnel associated with the agency. The term drugs includes all controlled drugs or substances identified and listed in the Controlled Substances Act of 1970. As amended, which includes but is not limited to, narcotics, depressants, stimulants, cocaine, hallucinogens and cannabis, marijuana, hashish, and hashish oil. The use of illegal drugs or the abuse of prescription drugs by persons employed by, assigned or detailed to the agency may adversely affect the national security, may have a serious damaging effect on the safety of others, and may lead to criminal prosecution. Such use of drugs either within or outside agency-controlled facilities is prohibited. Physical security policies. The Physical Security Program at NSA provides protection for classified material and operations and ensures that only persons authorized access to the agency's spaces and classified material are permitted such access. This program is concerned not only with the agency's physical plant and facilities, but also with the internal and external procedures for safeguarding the agency's classified material and activities. Therefore, physical security safeguards include security protective officers, fences, concrete barriers, access control points, identification badges, safes, and the compartmentalization of physical spaces. While any one of these safeguards represents only a delay factor against attempts to gain unauthorized access to NSA spaces and material, the total combination of all these safeguards represents a formidable barrier against physical penetration of NSA. Working together with personnel security policies, They provide security in depth. The physical security program depends on interlocking procedures.